This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, good afternoon. This is SHE02's 2019 Facility Plan meeting with the State Construction Department, and we'll have the staff in the office introduce themselves first.
I'm Raj Dami. I'm the accounting analyst. I usually or mostly work in the AIM database, so whatever these guys need in terms of data, I provide them.
Good afternoon, Brandon Finney, State Construction Department. My role with the team is to work through the facility planning process, identify any capital construction needs, and then present those to various legislative bodies.
Amber Leach with State Construction. I'm the policy planning analyst, and my role is to work with the districts and documents for today's facility plan meeting.
Good afternoon, this is Bob Herzog. I am the Regional Project Manager for the northeast portion of the state, of which SHE02 is one of those districts that I cover. I'm here to take care of whatever district projects are there, including capital projects, major maintenance projects, and security projects.
Thank you, Bob. I'm Troy Decker, Planning. My responsibility is to make sure we abide by all state statutes, rules, and regs with regard to the facility planning process. We get good, accurate information in our database so that we are able to forward that in reports to the select committee, to the commission, and then just make sure that there's an open forum of discussion, good communication between us and the district.
Okay, so this is Mathers Hoyk. I'm the Facility Director with Sheridan County School District Number 2.
Lori Walsh, Operations Accountant with Sheridan County School District 2.
Scott Stoltz, Assistant Superintendent.
Eileen Bentley, Business Manager.
And that's all of us.
Okay, is Craig going to be able to? All right, Craig isn't going to be able to join us. Okay, no
problem. We think he might pop in, but we got Scott, so we're good to go.
Okay, sounds good. Amber, if you'll turn off our video camera, you probably already did. Sometimes we have streaming difficulties. We'll make sure we don't have too much. So one of the things I want to say on the front end of this facility plan meeting is we've made several improvements over the last several years, but one of the things you guys need to know is every once in a while we have the governor's office or a legislator perhaps can ask for any particular facility plan. So these are designed in such a way that if someone who should get access to this has access to it, that they can within about 5 to 10 minutes have a really good understanding of your school district and the facility needs that exist there. So that's an important part of this. So we try to add a lot of visuals into it, make sure that it shows information from the database, and then make sure that you have voice within the facility planning process. One of the things we've improved starting last year was the fact that we go to the county GIS sites around the state and double check our acreages, make sure that our database is as accurate as possible, and I think we've done a lot of work on that. There's always improvement, but I think we have probably, well, I would without a doubt the most accurate database we've ever had. So not to say that there's always things to improve, but that's why we go through this process. The other thing we do is we do go to Google Earth and we just shoot these aren't like awesome aerials or anything like that, but they just show the properties that you guys have from a visual point of view from the air. And then of course this has been inserted for the alt school and where that's going to go on the college campus there. So we are kind of taking care of some specifics. What Amber does a great job is she works with you school districts so that a lot of the details in the database can be taken care of and that we can go on to those discussions that as a group we need to have. And so this is kind of housekeeping here. So we'll kind of go through this at a fairly rapid pace, and yet at the same time, please slow me down, anybody who wants to. And if it's a no-brainer, I'm sure that we can talk about it, or we don't have to talk about it, but if there's something to discuss, we'd be more than happy to. So district, you have reviewed acreages and verify accuracy. These are reported to WDE, and they do impact your groundskeeper allowances. So one thing I think it's important for you guys to know is WDE sends us every year enrollment numbers for the first day of reported in October, and then they scrub those, and we usually get those at the end of December and start populating our enrollment projections. And we also get ADM from them each year so that we can generate major maintenance payments according to state statute. This database, we do send them everything on the land, everything on the buildings, and that goes over to them from us. And so it's very important that it's as accurate as possible because you guys deserve the money that you need. So go ahead.
I had a quick question. Can you scroll up?
Oh, you bet.
On the Fort McKenzie and Wright Place, this is maybe an education on my behalf. What do we do once they sell the land? Do we remove it from the inventory, or do we just put active no to know that they once owned it back in the day? How's that work?
Yeah, the AIM database is like concrete.
Yeah.
Once something's in there, it's in there, and it's not being removed. So yeah, I think that when it says active there and no, it's not reporting any acreage, and obviously rightly so because they sold it. And so in this case, and Amber, you can probably answer this more. Sometimes we keep those in there, but in this case, and sometimes we just leave them out and say these are the ones that are active. But Amber, maybe you can answer that question more accurately. Go ahead.
So with that being no on active, and then you see the acreage is already zeroed out.
Okay.
It's just kind of a holding place of what happened in the past. That way, if we ever needed to pull up records of what we've spent on that acreage / property, it's still a record out there for us, but at the same time, it's gone.
Nice. All right. Thank you.
One more thing on that, Brandon, as you asked that question. If a site has a building on it and is being actively used for, I think, minimal education, but I think also like the administration buildings, I believe that those generate a different block grant appropriation or in their calculation than one that would be an abandoned piece of property. So I'm pretty sure that's also part of that active no yes.
Cool. No, that helps.
Okay. Okay, so you guys said there's an adjacent 2-acre parcel on the market for $1.75 million that could be used in the future. That's adjacent to the high school. I kind of went in here and just kind of did a aerial of it, and then and maybe that's pretty small here. Let me change this just a little bit. Does that help? If I have the right school, which I think I do, where's this parcel open at or available at?
So on the southern border of the high school, you see that big white building?
Are we looking down here?
Yep, right there. So that's
right there.
That's Holly Seed. So that's their facility. Everything right there. So
Okay.
it would have the same width as the high school does in this picture. But
Okay,
all the
so
way
it'd go. Got it. So that's Long Drive over to, what is that?
Midland.
Yeah, Midland. But I think Mathers, it doesn't go where the bank deal is, does it? ATM?
Oh, you're right. You're right, Finney. The bank where you have that kind of horseshoe loop. Brandon's correct. That's a different property. I'm sorry.
Yep.
So basically to the edge of the stadium.
There you go. Yep, that building.
Okay.
Maybe 10 feet past that lower white building.
Okay. And so it wouldn't include these. It does include the buildings or doesn't?
Yeah, there's that empty field right next to the building. Ask Brandon. He lived here longer than I have so far.
Yeah, you're right. So go to the left of the buildings, or they're a little bit right. Right, a little bit left. In between those two, there's a line. Yeah, about right there to the east.
Right there.
That whole section.
Okay, and
that's owned by the bank.
Yeah, that's owned by the bank. And then to the east, though, of where you're doing is all available.
Okay. And so Mathers, when you guys say you're interested in that property, that includes the buildings as well?
Well, I guess I don't know if we're interested. That's kind of the point why we put it on here, is I know the
Right.
state likes to look at future and plan ahead. Land's a lot less expensive now than later, as everyone knows. We don't want the property, or excuse me, the buildings. Half of the buildings, like 1930, needs a lot of maintenance, probably needs to be torn down. But then the newer stuff to the right of your cursor, just a little bit, that smaller building, that one's like a 1980s, right there, down, right there. Yep. That's a really nice office space. I just would, be remiss if Sheridan has a growth explosion in the next, 10, 20 years, and we said we could have looked at this, and I want to communicate to the board that we did talk to you guys about it.
Sure.
It's a big number.
It is, and that's part of the problem, but part of the big number is because there's buildings on it too, so it's driving it probably up.
And there's brand new, new-ish greenhouses. There's like 4 greenhouses, and those have value to some people, but not us. And so the price is going up because of that. They've actually come down in price $500,000. But again, I just want to communicate that it's there, and sometimes the state is interested.
I think it's good to have in the facility plan. It's just about the coin, and the need to drive the purchase.
Yeah, and I didn't know if it's, and maybe not even this year. Do we look at a Mercer? But I thought the property would be gone by the time we talked, and it's just sitting there. Yeah, you can see that. See with the black on top. That's a new-ish building, with a great office building, 2 stories. And then to the north of that, those are just lean-to sheds. And then everything to the left of your hand, that's the old stuff. And it's cool stuff. They did a lot of really interesting things. They did a lot of research here with Holly Seeds. So it's a communication place. I'm not saying we want it, we need it. I'm kind of asking the question: is it something that we should explore further, and what does that look like?
So one of the things I thought we'd do, team, is just, if I can get to the right place, is on the high school. Let's see, where is that?
70%, if that's what you're looking for.
011.
011.
Okay, thank you. Right there. Okay, let me back out. Jumps when you back out, unfortunately. Okay, so high school track. So 44 acres. So our standards, our adequacy standards, our design standards state for a high school 20 acres plus 1 acre for every 100 students. What's the number of students enrolled this year in there?
Right around 1,000, just under 1,000.
Okay. So that would drive. Okay, so that would drive 30 acres. So according to the adequacy standards, your site should be at least 30 acres. You've got 14 more. So that's one of the things, if you were to request an appropriation to purchase land, one of the questions would be, how do they compare to the design guidelines? And you guys are 14 acres over. So that would be, it would just be a fact that we'd not necessarily have to overcome, but to recognize that the site isn't short in and of itself for the number of students on there. So that wouldn't necessarily be something that we could use as a justification. Oh, the site's smaller than it should be. So that's one thought. Team, anything else on that? That's the first thing that comes to my mind.
Yeah, I mean, right now, looking at the acres, they got plenty. I'm thinking when you're going through this, too bad we couldn't rewind the clock and this was available back when the alt school came up. You could maybe buy and put $5 million there, and it'd be, you'd own all that and have a nice site. But timing didn't work out.
Well, we want those at the college, but you're right, Finney. So we agree with what you're saying. Again, it's more of a communication. I can't justify it in my head, but I wanted to make sure you were aware.
Okay. No, that's a good discussion, and thank you for doing that. District wants to discuss land purchase. That property's become available. Okay, we just did kind of a short little informational item there. I guess I could probably insert something here that basically identifies that it would be give or take about there, correct? about that
Yep.
property there.
Down to the
So-
road. Yep.
Okay, let's see here. Amber's got me keeping that off, and it doesn't help me, Amber.
Hey, it just helps us when you're on a smaller screen. It's all good.
Sorry. I'll put no fill there.
You can see more than on your screen. Seriously. It's almost like you have to get rid of that top.
I know that bar. I don't know if I'll do that.
Okay, so I did mention here, guys, and when I read these district, I just I read what you guys have prepared, what Amber's prepared, and I kind of do some preliminary responses. So what I did think about though is the SFC Land Opportunity Fund only has 750,000 in it, so that wouldn't really be sufficient. The district may request purchase of adjacent land to the high school, but it would require a request for special capital funding, right? I mean, so it'd have to be maybe I should say for major capital funding, it would have to be an actual major capital funding request in some way, shape, form, and then I'll just say SCD in considering any requests would be required to reference design guidelines for justification I'll just say justification. And district and my staff knows this. I kind of put these together. If you see something you'd rather have worded it differently, it's this kind of a collaborative thing. So if something bothers you or you say, hey, whatever, and Amber gets all excited as she catches me doing a spelling error. So if you see those, don't mention it because
I
she
won't
can
say
point it out.
anything, Troy. So I would say, I guess, just because our future selves will read this and we may forget, I think saying, the district is just wants to make sure the SFD is aware of it and have no immediate plans to request to purchase this property. And then maybe even just put, we've got 50% more acreage than are shown in the adequacy standards. So, like I said, I can't justify it. I even tried, and you look at how many students we're going to have, and it'd be a long time. But this property would be a whole heck of a lot more in 20 years. So
Sure.
But yeah, I think
I
that's
didn't
good.
quite get everything. Let's see. Oh, I liked what you said though. God, all right.
Approximately
I wish
50% bigger than the state adequacy standards specify.
It wasn't 50%. It was like
14
what
divided
was
by
it,
what?
guys? Yeah, it's 44. I thought divided by 30, or vice versa.
Our mathematician is on it.
Point, that's
I
30,
know. It's what?
greater, 32%.
Okay.
Hey, Penny, I think you want to do 14 of 30, right, to show what percentage of the existing it is.
So say it's approximately 14 or 32% in excess, 14 acres or everything.
I think you were
Yep,
going
that
to
works.
100 and some. Okay. So say that again, guys.
Might want to add current, because you're referring to the site.
The current site is
Yeah.
approximately 14 acres. Yeah, we're getting 47%, but I think we're just looking at it differently. I trust the finance guy more though.
Let's check. So, run it again.
Well, it's 50%
Yeah,
more than what we've got.
right. So you're saying it's 150% of, right? That's how
Yeah.
you figured it. You're saying the site is 150% of the design guidelines. That makes sense to
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
So let's, if you don't mind,
It'd
approximately,
be
right?
32%. If we bought it, it would be 32% of what we own if we bought it.
Okay, got it. We good, guys?
Yep.
Bueno.
Structured
Next.
property profiles. So this is let's see. Let me see if I can scoot that down real quick.
And
Amber, did you want to say something?
I just went ahead and just make sure Mathers knew that I reran this in last week just to capture those other lines.
Beautiful.
Okay. So you guys have reviewed property profiles and verify accuracy. Square footage, allowable square footage in tied to these property profiles affects your major maintenance calculations, and WDE operations and maintenance payments are based on this data when we send it over. You've reviewed building leases. That's important. We're required to track that. Thank you for working with Amber to do that. And you've also reviewed enhancements. Those are reported on an annual basis to the select committee. And then she had highlighted something down here. I think you guys are still are working on some potential corrections. Is that right, Mathers?
Super minor, yeah. We just have to tweak a name, I think.
Okay.
And if that changes any of the reports,
it won't change any. Yeah, it won't change square footage or acreage at all. It's just a housekeeping thing. I talked to Janet this morning too.
Sure. And if it does, we can always rerun those before we send this out for signature so it is captured correctly.
Is that just one building name or something? Mathers?
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay.
It has to do with the temp school versus the future school, and it won't change. Like I said, it won't change square footages or acreages.
Okay. Appropriations. Okay, so you guys, we just went right down the list here. You've got 6 of them. You guys have kind of responded to each of those. Bob, you want to take us through this?
Sure can. We have a prepared statement here, information on the security projects. I'd like to read this for you.
Hold on. Let's go through these capstone projects first.
Okay.
Sorry, Bob, I threw you a curve here. I'm sorry. Looking at the appropriations that are, exist within the district, let's go down these line by line and talk about whether you can see their responses, the top table that we ran off, their responses, and then my supposedly accurate responses, but someone could tell me if they're not.
Okay.
So caffeine, revert that.
Yep.
Okay, we're all good there.
Bob, what do you think?
Yes.
Yeah, the boiler's at the high school, right?
That's not the boiler. That's
The new caffeine school.
new caffeine school.
Okay.
But yeah, the boiler project, yes. To answer your question.
Leave it open. Land due diligence, purchase of future, what was that one?
So Bob and I are working through, that one's just a little odd, and we're working through the DAO because, yeah, we'll get that soon.
That was when we did the land swap, right?
Right. We just didn't have a contract per se, and so we talked about this a while ago, and I just need to send it. I have it now. I need to send it to Bob so he can get the DAO going.
Oh, yeah, because you haven't billed and got the money that you paid out. Because there was appraisals and stuff like that?
It's 35,000.
Sagebrush, no. No, okay, got it.
Okay, so it looked like the only thing, go ahead.
28, so things have changed since I've written this. With the landslide project, we're gonna have to push that thing out. So my best guess right now is 21, 22, but we won't know till bids come in.
You want me to just say construction estimated
Yeah, I would put,
in yours, estimated then probably 21, 22 like this? Would that work?
yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. So that's in motion, review next year. Then the last one, that's in progress, right? Okay. Alternative school. Okay. Everybody's good there? So we'll just
governor sign
remain,
it
so
yet?
that,
I don't know if it's signed, but getting there.
We'll talk about it at the end.
Yep.
so I guess we got that 560,189.80, right? Team?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Okay, good. All right, and then my question was just to confirm. So the alternative school, John Schiffer Alternative School. You guys don't call it that though. You call it like, what do you call it? John Schiffer
They're calling it
Collaborative.
collaborative, but
Collaborative School.
it's in the legislature, and it's in AIM as the alternative school, so that's the official name of it.
Okay. So Mathers, why don't we change that so we can start calling it the Collaborative School, and you could send a form to Janet and have that. Is that the one you were talking about?
Well,
Or
I
you
think
had
Bob's
something?
getting at is we need to keep it as alternative here because that's what
Oh.
the funding says. So you know how it goes. The kids are calling it Schiffer. So to me, I think Bob is correct. Leave it as the alternative school because then people know what it means. In 10 years when we're all retired and rich, they'll know that
Okay.
it's an alternative school.
Hey, Mather, we're government employees, man.
Yeah. You must know something I don't know.
Yeah.
You gotta be optimistic.
I don't know. I was shooting for 5 years when I was going to be rich.
Oh, geez. Hello.
Okay, that sounds good. So that site is fixed, correct? On the campus, college campus.
Yes.
Okay. We were kind of questioning that earlier. Okay, that sounds good then. We'll go ahead and move on. Thanks for doing that. Now, Bob.
Are you
security.
sure I can go into this?
I am sure.
All right.
You are welcome to move forward.
Okay. The original funding for the security monies was done in the 2014 House Enrolled Act number 0056 and House Bill 0042 for the amount of $9 million. Funding of the projects was defined under the 2015 Senate Enrolled Act number 0089, Senate File 0057. The current budget request was in a JAC draft bill. It is gone through, and we also believe that this is going to be signed. It has not been done as of yet. For fiscal year 20, 4.9 million was proposed for the additional security projects. That's for fiscal year 21 to 22. 10% of the major maintenance for security has been discussed in the select committee to not be in fiscal year 21-22. Unlike 10% enhancements funds, continued 10% security major maintenance is not assured in the future. Overexpending security funds may be a district concern if funding is not continued into the next biennium. The previous 10% security funding of through major maintenance, 2016 House Enrolled Act number 0012 for fiscal year 17 and 18. Same description here. A school district may expend up to 10% of the amount distributed under the major maintenance program for the period commencing July 1st, 2016 and ending July 1st, 2018 for safety and security building and facility needs. 2018 House Enrolled Act number 0062 for fiscal year 19 to 20. Same dialogue. A school district may expend up to 10% of the amount distributed under this program for the period commencing July 1st, 2018 and ending June 30th, 2020 for safety and security building facility needs. District written requests for CAPCON funding revisions will be honored. When moving funds between project appropriations, it must be in writing and acknowledge that no backfill funding will be available. The SFD will honor and exchange agreements made by the SFD that are captured in a written record. The goal of security funding is intended to give each district an equal opportunity to provide consistent security standards for Wyoming K-12 schools. This is in the October 2014 report. The School Facilities Commission and Select Committee for School Facilities have continued to identify concerns with the slow deployment of funds. That's specifically for the first 9 million that we were talking about. Other potential funds available to school districts that are not SFD administered are as follows. Homeland Security funding, you need to contact your local Department of Homeland Security for any available funds. Also, DOJ and private grants are available on an irregular basis. The district needs to search these other funding sources. Just to recap on our security conferences, we had our first one in October 2017 at the Ramada Inn Convention Center in Casper. March of 2018, we had one at Central Wyoming College in Riverton. October of 2018, we had one at the Laramie County Community College in Cheyenne. For 2019, we have not established a date or location as of yet. So the follow-up question here is, what can we do to help get some of these other security monies expended?
Well, I think the biggest thing is what you guys have done. You got the law changed, so now we're not so restricted. It's a little scary to us when we can't do any of those components on their own, but we can combine them, and then now you're signing your life away that you don't need the other ones later. When, you know what I mean? It's really hard to spend it when there's only partial funding. We're not complaining. It's tough. So we're moving forward by combining some projects, and one of them is going to be communications at the junior high, the early building, but that means we can't upgrade any communications anywhere else.
Well, just so that we're a little clear on that, Mathers, you can parse this too. It doesn't mean that you have to take all the security monies for that communications funding and put it all in one school. You can do it to several schools. It doesn't have to be a one.
Well, that's what I'm saying is there's not enough to do it with several schools.
Yeah.
The only way to get it done is to put it all in one school.
Okay.
Right. You just don't have enough coin to go around.
Yeah, and you guys know that. I mean, you've been fighting for more for years. So,
yep,
hey, just so you guys know, Craig is here now. So, I think this whole group knows that SCSD2 has volunteered to use AIM to start getting these projects done. So I know that Finney and Bob have got some things ready to go that we're going to use, and that'll help too. I think we're in a good spot to spend the money. So we've got the design probably at 80% right now, and that bid's next month. So.
Okay. I have two things I wanted to talk about. One is the number. You said it should be something, and it's this.
Well, so I think Amber straightened me out. So 28, it's the column that says 2018. Back down in the.
Yep.
Yeah. So that must mean July 1st, 2017, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So we don't have fiscal year 19 on here. That's the one that would be 238. Okay. Amber and I deleted that. I thought we deleted that, Amber. Maybe not.
Well.
So I was thinking of fiscal year 19. It's just not on this table. That's all.
Gotcha.
I apologize that column. I did not get it deleted out of there after I got you.
I swear I watched you delete it. I must have dreamed it.
No, things kind of come back to haunt us every once in a while. So that statement came by the district.
Just to be clear, to over communicate, so with 2019 there's another basically 240, and then the legislature has approved the 2020 because it's still the same biennium, but after that it's probably not going to be there, correct?
Can't tell till after the session, but
okay.
Right now that's.
Well, I just want to make sure. So we will still another $480,000 for fiscal 19 and fiscal 20.
Right. And it isn't.
Just making sure.
Okay.
And my other question is, the state, they allocated new security money. How is that allocated to the district? So before it was so, very prescriptive. Every district got this much for this building and this component. How is the new money going to get rolled out? Do you guys know yet?
Yeah, I've been working on it today, actually. Troy, are you able to pull up the House Bill 1? I'll take that as a yes.
It's after 8, huh?
Since you're the test pilot, it might be all right to spend just a minute. And then do the control F or however you want to get to it. There's your 10%, okay. Going. Okay, right there. So scroll up a little bit, yep. Okay, where it says 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 line down, the commission shall only approve security projects pursuant to a commission-established process that ensures the funds distributed under this paragraph maximize improvements to students and staff safety. Now, so keep that one in the parking lot here. Now go to the very bottom, last 3 lines. Okay. So we don't know yet until it's signed. So here's what's going on, Mathers. When we presented to the commission, to the select committee, to JAC, we said all 20, right? The joint appropriation said no, we're going to spend it on items 1 through 6, 8, and 11.
Which are the
So
same.
1 through 6 is what the older money was for too, right?
Everything's the same. Yep. So we saw that. We went down this morning and talked with LSO. We got confirmation that yes, they want to just keep it the same. And I said, hey, we're going to have a lot of dead money out there. Those districts that already have done that, they can't even move forward. It's so rigid. So what we've done is we have a email into the budget office, and Dell's working with the governor's office to get that item there that's highlighted struck. So we need to hold tight until the governor signs the bill, and if he vetoes that, then we go up to the part that I said put in the parking lot, that commission-approved process, and we're going to fire it up with you to do all 20.
Awesome.
Does that make sense? But we don't know if the governor's going to strike that, but we've been working on it all morning.
So for the districts that have said, hey, we're going to move all the money from this school and this component over to this school and that component, they can't use this money on the former, correct? That was probably really confusing. So if we took all our security money and said, hey, we're going to spend it on communication system at the early building, and it's so expensive that we got to use all of our security money from, the other schools, and we won't be able to use the new security money to build the security projects at the other schools.
Right.
So that's going to be another challenge that you'll see. We're not in that position, obviously, because we haven't pulled the trigger officially yet. Well, but that's the tricky part, is you either don't do anything or you commit to not doing other things.
Sure. If we get it struck though or vetoed, then we're golden.
Yeah, but the only thing that's still one of the parameters we haven't eliminated is that just the list of schools that were put in as far as having deficiencies is still going to be there, even if you open it up to all 20.
Because there's plenty of districts that just said, hey, we can with all the money combined, we can only do one facility, one component, and then they signed that letter that you guys talked about that said we won't ever ask for money for the other components again, well, they can't use the new money as that is written. That's what makes me nervous.
All right, I see what you're saying. Because you wrote that letter and signed off, then you can't go back and use that? Well,
Yeah,
we'll
and
see.
we haven't done that yet, but I know that there's districts that have, and so that's kind of the thing is, with major maintenance being so tight for everyone, as you all know,
Yep.
either
Well,
don't, like I said, either don't use it or you combine them and then no look back.
We'll have to see because the attorney said that this is for educate. The intent here and this stuff is, it was interpreted, or the intent was for education and non-educational facilities, as long as it's on those items. So.
Yeah, so maybe you can use it wherever you want. Is that what you're saying, Brandon?
Yeah, in the meeting. So we'll see what happens when he signs it, and then we'll know exactly. So
because that's got to be a letter from our superintendent, right?
That is correct.
Where we say, okay. So that's a commitment that's kind of scary to make if we can't use the new security dollars. That, you know what I mean? That's something we'll have to work through with you guys.
Yep. I think state law will trump some letter though.
I bet you're right. I think the governor's got a little more stroke than that.
Yeah.
His veto power.
A day or two, we're almost there.
Okay, cool.
So I'll probably call you by the end of the week and let you know, because we're going to need to fire up this model.
Yeah, and we are getting into construction season, so we'll get it there.
Yep.
I don't know if I need to say that, guys, but I should say may help. Just depending on what happens.
Oh, additional appropriations always helps, Troy. Always.
Yeah,
I'm not even kidding. Definitely.
Money's the answer, right?
Yeah, solves a lot of problems.
Just throw a lot of money at it.
Okay, so capacity, down here, we kind of got a breakdown of capacity per building. So that has, you can see caffeine's pretty full, almost 108%. I was thinking I added another, I put it down here in our notes. The updated, I think you had mentioned something on, but we'll get there. So anyway, here's what was in the database at that point. So we got that. So obviously we don't like to see your elementary schools, too full, but we'll look at that from a district-wide basis according to state statute. So let's go to your enrollment projections real quick. And good afternoon, Craig. You still there?
Yep.
All right. Welcome to the meeting. So enrollment projections, you guys know we do 10 years of trailing data, actual data delivered by WDE to us. And then we project out 10 years, and we use this for remedies when projects come up for funding. We use those projections to help make sure that we properly right-size those buildings or remedies to meet future growth when capacity is an issue. How these work is you can follow a class through, like 2008, kindergarten, 2009 first grade, 2010 second, and you can kind of see them stair step down, and you can see basically a statistical survival rate for any grade as they work down from kindergarten through 12th grade. And then so what we do is we actually do a comparison from one grade to the next. So we do the 2008 kindergarten, 2009 they were first grade, 2009 kindergarten, 2010 first grade, and we do that, and we actually average that over a 10-year period, and it gives a survival rate statistically for how many students move from kindergarten to first grade. We do know that in most districts, this is a lot of districts, this is a lower percentage. It's probably in your district not due to losing students out of the school district, although it could be a little bit, but it's probably more so related to you guys. If you have kindergartners that are not developmentally ready to move on to first grade, you probably hold on to them for another year and then advance them to first grade in a delayed sense. Would that be correct, Craig?
So I had a question for you, Troy, about the dates at the top. That's fiscal year, right?
So this is that's actually calendar year.
Okay, so that's October 1st, 2018.
Yes, that's correct.
Were you saying our numbers?
So actually, Troy, when we look at the enrollment numbers currently, that what we have right now, looks like we're a year ahead of schedule, meaning that right now our current enrollment is 3516, was probably about where we were on October 1, I'm guessing, or unless that's exact numbers that you pulled.
Is that a pulled number, the 3477?
Is that accurate?
Yeah, that's actually, guys, that's sure. Good question. That's actually, this is what we received from WDE based on what you reported October 1 of 18.
Great. Okay, so we're up, which it gives, again, it kind of projects where you guys were, which I think we're off 3 kids from where it looks like 2019 is anticipating to be. And I think we're actually going to be bigger than that due to the fact that we just did our kindergarten enrollment, and we're up about 30 kids for incoming kindergartners, and we're about a month ahead of schedule where we took that number from a year ago. So I think we're looking pretty good in regards to where our enrollment's projecting to go.
Nice. So you're going to be around 3,500 plus or minus?
Yeah. Well, yeah, for sure.
Sheridan's experiencing some really interesting growth. It's hard to say what's going to happen.
Yeah, I'd say we're at 3516 right now, so I'm going to guess we'll be 35. We'll be up probably 30, 40 kids more than that, maybe close to 3550.
Nice. Yeah, that's good.
Well, yeah, it is nice. Sheridan used to be a small little town.
We like it that way.
Now you guys got to compete with about 400, 500 more elk hunters.
Yes, we do.
And that's why they're here, is they're making guns.
Oh, that's great. That's right. You're obviously, guys, your survival rates are outstanding. We had another one this morning that looked pretty close to this. But you guys are, as you move through, you're pretty well maintaining for the most part. This is kind of an interesting one here. Your freshman year, you guys have 105%. So you're gaining a fair amount of students that freshman year. What's that about?
Do we get some Bighorn kids or something?
We do. We pick up some from District 1. Yeah. So yeah, that's a good question. I'm not sure what the draw is. It could be exactly that.
Yeah, Troy, looking at that one, we asked them, they said they lose them, and that's right in the area. Look at their numbers on the other flip side. It's a
Yep, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So
they're at
Bighorn
95-ish,
campus,
and we're at 105-ish. Well, I guess it'd be different.
Okay, great. All right. Well, that's good for your school district. I think that's about it, guys. I mean, we don't have to analyze this too much, but we just put a kind of just a snapshot in there, and you guys continue to grow, and congratulations. And that means more resources in order to help these students educationally. So that's wonderful. We do, obviously, the statewide capacity list. It doesn't really have as much independent relevance as it did before. We're going to be talking about that in just a minute. So at any rate, you can see one of the things, we only had like 1 or 2 and as a high capacity above 100% last year. And if you guys recall, the commission went ahead and it changed the restricted capacity in their calculation for capacity for up to 25 students in a room if it holds it for kindergarten through 6th grade. And then they got a bunch of kickback from the districts or pushback. And so they went back and they changed that back to restricted capacity for kindergarten through 3rd grade of 16 students. And so that's what pushed up a bunch more elementary schools into the high capacity percentages. Don't get too excited about Casper. They're 300 seats short in the buildings they're using, but they also just mothballed last year 4 elementary schools for 921 seats. So that one is not anticipated by at least the department as requiring any kind of capital funds in the future of capacity. We also have a medium capacity at Albany, and then you guys, you can see your K5 is sitting here at 93.94%, which is 106 seats left, and then it's going to be full again. And it looks like you guys are going to continue to grow in that area. So, and then, and you guys have been around long enough that the state's not proactive in giving funds. It's really it would be reactive. So we wait, and of course you can see all the school districts ahead of you, and maybe you'll bump up there as your growth continues. But obviously we have a prioritization process, and we'll start at the top of the list and work down as funds become available. Any questions on that?
No, when you get to our comment, we'll talk about that a tiny bit.
Okay, well, let's talk about that right there.
So we are planning to do a boundary change to level out the percentage, but Story is a half-hour drive from Sheridan, so we can't use Story to balance capacity. So we're still in good shape, though, right?
Yeah, I would agree, and so, well, I mean, you're growing, and we're conscientious of the fact that you continue to grow, and we need to be proactive. There are planning, well, we used to have planning monies, right, Brandon? And so we're going to ask, I think, for more planning monies this next biennium here, and as districts like you grow, it's nice to get at least on the front end proactively with regard to planning studies, and go through those studies and see what options are available, and kind of work out through the most cost-effective remedy for the commission, so that when you do come up for an appropriation request, we have some really good data and can then ask for appropriate amount of money and get commission approval for the most cost-effective remedy in order to meet your needs. And so I did Mathers, by the way. I don't have Story in this one, and Charlie didn't. So we just took your 5 elementary schools there and applied that so that we have a little bit more accurate instead of Story.
Very cool. But again, we'll have a much better picture next year with our kindergartners in, so we just need to keep an eye on it.
Okay, I made the statement down here. Everybody feel good about that? I'll move on.
When are you guys
I'll
going to
explain that. Go ahead, Brandon.
I just wonder if you're going to do that for the next school year? Do it over the summer or something?
Do what?
Do the boundary change over the summer?
Yeah, we're introducing it to the board on Monday, and then hopefully have the plan to them the next board meeting.
Cool.
It's a little painful.
Right. But I just went through on with Laramie 1. Do you guys do public input and have committees and stuff, or what's your process?
Yeah, we'll do a bit of that. We won't do a lot of committee work per se, but we will allow public input, yes. Yep.
Yeah, it's a tough thing to do, but sometimes you gotta do it.
Yep, exactly.
And caffeine, is it high because it's a neighborhood school?
They're all neighborhood schools, and part of the interesting fact is, so this was what, 5-6 years ago? I'm not sure how old Coffeen is, but when we received funding for that school, which at that point was a 2-section school, meaning we had 2 grades, we had 2 classes per grade level, we had to help justify why that needed to be built as a 3-section school. So as a result, we moved the boundaries because Sagebrush was right around 370, 380. Highland Park was comparable. So we moved the boundaries at that point to help balance that a bit. Well, unfortunately, we did too good of a job, and now Coffeen is where Sagebrush used to be, and they're around 370, 375. Sagebrush is one of our lower elementary schools in regards to enrollment. So now we've got to retweak the boundaries to try to get them balanced yet again.
Yeah, Coffeen's only 5 years old.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty new.
Okay, well, good problem to have, guys, to a certain extent.
Yeah, definitely.
Charter schools, you don't have one, so we're good there. You guys been around long enough, you know what the FCI, the Facility Condition Index numbers mean. So we acknowledge that hopefully it'll be signed by the governor, and you guys will get your alternative school, your collaborative school money. That would be great. Sagebrush has also already received its component money, correct? So we're good there?
Yeah, that goes to bid here in a few weeks.
Okay. So I think those are the two you had in that top 30 on the list. And then on the support buildings, you have your bus barn at a 0.47, which is, what is that, fourth down? And then you've got your boiler building. I thought you the boiler building too. Didn't you get an appropriation for that?
Yeah, it should be at like a 0.05 now.
Okay, great. So the important thing to know about support or ancillary buildings is state statute requires the commission to make recommendations first and foremost to prioritize education buildings and support buildings second. So with the limitations of funding that is being applied for facilities for education buildings, we wouldn't anticipate, unless something major happens, support buildings to be getting any capital funds in the future unless there's some kind of an emergency or something like that. So take care of them with major maintenance. That's our recommendation, and we'll see what the future holds. So this is, we always break it down for your education buildings. This is just your district by itself. I think we've talked about that pretty well. Everything else below sagebrush is in pretty good shape from a condition point of view. And then this is your support buildings as well. So, and we know the boiler's being taken care of. Okay, comments here, district. You want to say something on here?
Yeah, and you guys know it. It's nothing you don't know. Our bus barn's in really bad shape, and we just don't have the major maintenance to spend on it. And we've got a heating system that makes us a little nervous. But right now, we're getting the roof on because you can see the stars and the sky. But after that, we've got no money. So it's stuff that we're prioritizing it the way the state asked us to.
Okay.
So
major maintenance, you've updated your work order statuses, work order statuses. We appreciate that in the AIM database. And then everything you've submitted, Bob has reviewed, and if it's qualified, it's been approved for major maintenance expenditures as you move forward. Anything else on this you want to say, Bob?
No, we've been working pretty hard on this one, looking pretty good.
Okay. All right, you guys, we already talked about your 10% security funds, and just a reminder that those they don't follow the same definitional approval as other major maintenance. They don't have to qualify for that definition of major maintenance in order to spend them, and that's the blessing of it, is as you work through projects, and if you start spending your capital monies on security, you start spending your regular major maintenance on things that would qualify to help supplement that. Those security funds can really come in handy. 10% security funds in filling any voids with regard to qualifying for major maintenance. So I think that's a good opportunity for you guys. 10% enhancement, you know that you can use that on like field lights, teacherages, other things that normally wouldn't qualify for regular major maintenance. So that can come in handy as well as you guys move forward. Okay. Low scores for failure or poor conditions. Every year someone in the legislature always asks us, are they spending money on their low condition scores, which is their highest needs with their major maintenance? So instead of trying to answer for you, we always give this to you and you fill it out. So if anyone asks specifically about your school district, we can give them this and they can look exactly what you said about that low condition score and let you speak for yourself. There's what the ratings mean and deficiency percentages. So one thing that we started doing this year, and every 4 years we'll do it, we have an upcoming, every 4 years state statute requires us to go out, hire a consultant to go out and redo the condition assessments across state. So that's coming up. We're going to put together the scope this fall. We'll go through the procurement process, get a consultant. and then bring them on board. And then the important one is for you guys, we will offer sometime, that says April 1st, but sometime in April, we're going to offer you guys training in Casper, whoever from your district wants to go, for 4 hours on a single day, and make sure that you guys understand the tool, how it's used, you know, what the assessors, how they're calibrated, what they're doing in order to apply the scores. And then the importance, this is really important. We always remind school districts that it's important when they show up to your school district not to give them the key and say have fun and bring the key back at the end of the day, but that the most educated, the most a familiar person with this, every single school building, walk side by side with those assessors and make sure that they get the most accurate data possible, because those numbers mean something when you guys come back to ask for component funding or spend your major maintenance or justify that stuff, and to show your progress or lack thereof with regard to the limitations of your major maintenance. The other complaint we do get every once in a while, not very often, but sometimes school districts say, I can't believe you send assessors out during the school year, you're interrupting our educational environment. And we say, well, if we wanted to spend $5 million, we could probably get it done in 5.5 or 2.5 months. But the unfortunate part about the summer is it's your busiest time in facilities, and it's just 2.5 months isn't enough to do 500 plus buildings. So we will kind of edge into your late school year next year before school's left out. You'll have your summer, which we'll be out there trying to get those done, and then we'll have to do some condition assessments during the fall. So we apologize for that, but that allows us then not to double our costs on assessments, and maybe we'll only spend $2.5 million. Any questions on the assessment?
Nope, looking forward to it.
All right. So this was, and I didn't highlight that. So this is this year's prioritized component request list, and there was a committee of 12 people. We asked for 4 superintendents, 4 business managers, 4 facility directors to be on that, and we do appreciate each and every time that people on the committee do volunteer out of the districts. But the districts actually prioritize these, so we appreciate that. It's a very good matrix, and I forgot to kind of highlight this, but you guys had the Highland Park roof membrane at 1.2 million, so that looks like a great project to ask for. That's number 7 on that list.
Hey Troy, what was the cumulative amount awarded this year, roughly? Was it 20 million-ish? I can't remember.
Around 20.
Yeah.
So we have 19,
so obviously
20.
So this is not a gimme, that's for sure.
No, in the past it averaged around 10 a year, and the reason for the big increase is a couple things. One, we were trying to switch horses to the asset preservation. So we said, hey, if we inject a massive load of cash into these components, it's going to drive and fix all the deferred maintenance out there. So then you get an increase in your major maintenance payments, and then you could maintain. Some of it happened. Obviously, they injected $20 million for 2 years in a row. The major maintenance increase never came, but it also knocked away some of these would have became emergencies too. So
that's what I'm worried about here is with the slope and a couple other things, that if we don't get the component funding right now, we don't have major maintenance in our 5-year plan to cover it. So, but we'll worry about that when we need to.
And that would hit your roof problem, right?
Say that again?
By not getting so by taking care of things, then your roof right here that Troy has highlighted could eventually become a big problem.
Exactly. Yeah. We This is a company that went out of business, so that's why the warranty didn't cover it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thanks for submitting to that, and we'll see how far down they go. And it'd be great if they did all 39 million. We'd be happy, but we'll see. Okay, so I think we just talked about some of this. Anything else, district, you want to say on this portion for major maintenance?
No, I think as you guys have been trying to get, we want more major maintenance, but you guys have been good advocates of that. So, things just, I think we're in really good shape except for the early building and the high school and slope. Other than that, we're in pretty good shape.
Okay. So session review. Starting last year, we started kind of reviewing what's happening in bills with you guys. I know you guys do track education bills as they work through. I think you guys have a very good process on the school district side for doing that in a collaborative and holistic way. And some of these bills are tracked through that, but some of them aren't. So we always like to give you a review and make sure that especially business managers and facilities directors, everybody knows what's coming forth and forward and how it's going to impact you, either a blessing or maybe more work. But go ahead, Brandon.
So I'll hit so a little bit about our key. Red's dead, green's alive, passed, and yellow's going through the process still. So I'll just hit the ones that are live. That they're dead, so it doesn't really matter. House Bill 52 is a public works contract. So when you guys do your FF&E, you'll want to work with your designers to make sure they write the specifications in a manner that is specifying products only available from Wyoming vendors. House Bill 65 is increasing the present.
Hey, Brandon.
Yeah.
Do you know, is that one immediate? Or is that July 1st?
Hold on a second, I can tell you.
Well, you know what, I'll just have the architects put it in because we know it'll be eventually.
Yeah, it actually probably would be better to do it that way, to be politically soft. You know what I mean? To jump through and ram something through to dodge the statute, I don't think that would look too good. I wouldn't recommend it for that.
Well, we'll just get them in the contracts and we don't have to worry.
Yeah. 65 is that procurement, increasing the dollar values of the present value of today's dollars. 78 is the quarterly payments on your major maintenance funding, which will take effect not this year, but the year after. House Bill 79 is loaning on the interfund loans of school, how they fund the school projects. Let's see. This House Bill is 94. I think it died this morning. So that was oh no, sorry. I misspoke. House Bill 152 is about underground utilities. And they increased the fine from, I think, $500 to $5,000. So that's something that'll have to be in your design or your construction document to make sure that they comply with those new requirements right there. Let's see. Real quick, I think Senate File 74 passed last night. That's the professional service procurement, and it has a tiered system it's a preference bill to keep things local. And then House Bill 1 has the appropriations in it, so if you just want to scroll up, we'll review those appropriations.
So did the governor sign that one or not? We don't know yet.
No, that's the one that's we've been working on this morning.
Oh, that's the one where you're asking for a line item, right?
Yeah, so it's still going through the process. So but in there, we got Satellite High School from Sweetwater. You got your project. We got a reappropriations for the modular. We got a charter school lease here in Laramie 1. Some unanticipated funds that ties to the John C. Schiffer and the Satellite School. Security projects that we talked about earlier, and then your major maintenance payment. We'll see a little bump up there. That came from when we ran the calculation, the artist means value went up. And then we have another charter school in Laramie 1 for a lease. So far for you guys, it looks pretty good.
We're excited.
Don't count your chicks till your eggs hatch.
We are not. We are definitely not.
I shouldn't have said that. We're hoping for the best,
No,
obviously.
you're right.
view. There we go. Oops. Okay, so budget requests. So one thing I did put here is, and Mathers, I know you know this, rules and regulations, the updated ones for the commission. Instead of having a capacity list by itself, and asking for money based on the higher percentages of capacity in school districts, or a condition list by itself and asking for the top of those. And then when they do get appropriated, educational suitability is addressed in those capital projects. Now each and every building will have 3 scores that will roll up into a composite score. So each and every building will have a 50% of the weighting of that score will be based on facility condition, 35% facility capacity, and 15% educational suitability. So it'll be kind of a different looking list coming up here, and we're working on putting that together and presenting it, I think in the May meeting. Is that correct, Brandon?
That's the plan. We're drafting it as we speak to make sure we follow.
So does suitability get scored as they do the assessments next fall? Where does that suitability number come from?
Yeah, we got
that came from a 2010 assessment, and so that data is about 7-8 years old.
Yeah. But you may look at remeasuring that.
Yeah, we're kind of looking at 3 options right now, and we'll see what Dell wants to do, Director McComey. But obviously we have the existing educational suitability scores. Now, obviously 8 years ago or 9 years ago, that's a long time. So some of those buildings have been remodeled or renovated, I should say. Some are brand new, existing, that didn't exist then. The old ones are gone. But I'd say probably 85% of them were scored and have that educational suitability score. So obviously a challenge when you have that dated information and it's not on every building. We do have the FCNI score, which that N stands for illumination, air quality, and technology readiness. And all of the buildings in the state have been scored on that simultaneously as we've done the condition assessment. So challenge there. And then the second thing is we'll potentially be asking for money then from the legislature to go out and basically work with the school districts and kind of come up with what, define update the educational suitability tool, and come some kind of collaborative process, define what educational suitability is, and actually apply that updated matrix or matrix to a scoring matrix to new assessments or new I guess measurement of educational suitability in all the schools around the state, and ask for money to do that so we can update that educational suitability tool. And then I guess the other thing, who knows what the select committee could do, but they could say, hey, why don't we drop the educational suitability or use what you have now, but why don't we go with maybe a capacity or condition list still? They did that in the past. That's out of our control. We can provide whatever they want, but there's 3 options there that may or may not happen. Oh, the other thing, Craig, are you still there?
He had to step out.
Did he? The other thing we're wondering, okay, Scott, the other thing we're kind of, for us would be the ideal situation. I don't know what the legislature would think about it, but tell us what you think. Instead of doing this, coming up with a new way to update the educational suitability scores for all the buildings across the state, educational buildings, it would be kind of interesting to potentially come up with a formula, like the major maintenance is based on ADM, and goes through a calculation. It'd be kind of interesting to use some kind of similar tool or similar way of calculation based on ADM or whatever it may be, and then that generates a certain amount of dollars for educational suitability, and then that basically is distributed somewhat like a major maintenance is on a dollar value, and then each school board decides what they believe that money should be used for educational suitability, and prioritizes it as long as it's spent on facilities and can be entered through our AIM database as planned work orders. So that's another thought. What do you think about something like that potentially?
Yeah, I think, Troy, I think that has some merit. I do. And again, part of that is, and it goes back to the block grant scenario as well, which is that you're allowing districts to make decisions that they feel is best for their district. As we know, many of the districts are unique in some facet, and some see, especially when we're talking about educational suitability, some see certain things or components of that learning environment as necessities where another district may not. So then allowing, if that's a formula that would be fair in regards to how that generates the money that's needed, that the districts would have a large say in regards to how they would want that to be spent.
Brandon, I represent that accurately?
It's definitely tricky because, you know, nobody can tell us what suitability means more than we can ourselves, but I can see districts taking advantage of that. Oh, because then your score goes up. So it's not an easy problem. My argument would be is give us a way to save. We were just talking about that today. You know, we have a problem at Sagebrush where it's just not safe for the kids, and you guys can't give us any money. We can't use, state law won't let us use major maintenance, so we have no way to pay for that. And to me, that's a suitability. How do you measure that? And then compare it to another district? It's pretty tough. So to me, we just need a tool to be able to save, right? We can put money into a depreciation account, but we can't use a depreciation account on new things. So we end up having to find a different way to pay for stuff.
Well, it'll be an interesting discussion going forward here. And Brandon, I think that was one of the interim. Oh, no, not at all. And it's going to require a long time to sort out. If educational suitability is defined and is measured, that's a long process. That's probably a 2-year process. And the next biennium, I guess we'd have something that may be able to be brought forward and put into this matrix of scoring each building. But we'll see what happens there. Okay, with that then, district, I guess we're at the end here, but is there something that we haven't talked about that you'd like to discuss before we close the meeting?
No, I don't think so. I think, no, you guys know about our slope.
Mm-hmm.
Mathers, what's your cash flow plan to resolve that?
Don't know. We've been working through that the end of last week and this week, and working with the board, and don't have an answer yet.
Working on it.
Working on it.
Okay.
Hey, when did they vote on a new president for the SFC? Is that voted on at the next meeting?
They picked a replacement, but I don't know if that's going to be the chairman.
Who's the replacement?
Rick Woodford.
Nope.
Where's
Bighorn 1. He's the superintendent, Bighorn 1. Is that right? Bighorn 1. I think it's Bighorn 1. Yeah, Lovell.
Yeah,
Rick Woodford, cool. Superintendent. So he's on there, and then that position, if I recall right, Brandon, is the chairman of the SFC is appointed by the governor.
Right, and I've seen that he reappointed, he appointed Rick and all the other commissioners, but I haven't seen anything formal saying who he appoints as the chairman. So to be determined.
Oh, he appoints the chairman. It's not voted by the commission. Got it.
No.
I think it's the governor. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, great. Staff, anything else before we close?
Just thank you, district, for your hard work this year.
Nothing new from my end.
Okay, thanks, district. Appreciate you guys. Look forward to seeing in person next time we can do that, and we'd love to come and look at your district again at some point as a planning team and finance team, and we sure enjoy you guys and value what you do for your facilities and your students.
Thank you.
Appreciate that. Thank you guys as
Okay,
well.
take care. You betcha. Take care, guys. We'll talk to you later. This will be sent for signature here as soon as we get it finalized, the
All right.
facility plan. Okay, take care. Bye.
But